Cliff in Color captures the calculated attempt to replicate the Elvis Presley cinematic template for British audiences with local pop star Cliff Richard. These Technicolor musicals represent a specific era of UK pop culture transition, where Cliff was positioned as the sanitised, homegrown alternative to American rock and roll rebellion. The collection, comprising The Young Ones, Summer Holiday and Wonderful Life, is a vibrant documentation of the pre-Beatles pop landscape. While the narratives are thin, designed solely to facilitate high-energy musical set pieces, they remain significant relics of a time when the British film industry sought to weaponise teenage fandom into box office gold. And now Indicator have released this very colourful box set, surprisingly in the US only. The Blu-ray set utilises 4K restorations from Studio Canal that present a frustratingly mixed bag in terms of restorations. The Young Ones emerges as the technical standout, maintaining a filmic integrity with decent grain levels, despite colours that lean towards the oversaturated. Summer Holiday follows a similar trajectory. The image is heavily contrasted and saturated and looks dated with its digital remastering, yet it largely succeeds in capturing the bright, travelogue aesthetic of the production. The outlier is Wonderful Life. Studio Canal's treatment of this title suggests they struggle with a variable quality original negative. Rather than allowing for visual inconsistency, the restorers opted for a digital veneer, layering on extreme contrast and a thick, chunky artificial grain. The result is a presentation that feels upscaled and sharpened rather than restored, particularly during the credits, which bear the hallmarks of an upscaled DVD source. It is a digital approximation of film that prioritises a uniform, aggressive look over authentic analog quality. Despite all of these shortcomings, the encoding from Fidelity in Motion, who do all of Indicator's releases, is first rate as usual. The trilogy follows a rigid formula of youthful optimism versus stodgy authority. In The Young Ones, Cliff plays Nicky, the son of a ruthless property tycoon who leads a youth club in a bid to save their community centre from his father's bulldozers, staging a variety show to raise the funds. Summer Holiday shifts to a lighter tone. 4 London bus mechanics convert a double-decker into a mobile hotel, driving across Europe and picking up a trio of singing girls and a runaway American starlet. Summer Holiday is a beloved British favourite, the second biggest film in the UK in 1963 behind James Bond's From Russia with Love. In Wonderful Life, we find the troupe shipwrecked in the Canary Islands, where they inadvertently stumble onto a film set and end up replacing the cast in a sprawling desert epic. While the movies themselves are light to the point of transparency, the musical numbers act as the structural spine. Cliff lacks the dangerous charisma that defined Elvis's early screen presence, but he remains a technically proficient and very engaging musical performer. The choreography of the dance numbers, backed by the sheer energy of the Shadows' accompaniment, provide a gusto that the thin scripts don't really compete with, and yet these films utilise the wide Technicolor frame to showcase the peak of the British beat era, prioritising the variety show format over cinematic storytelling. Whilst each of the films are probably 30 minutes too long, pushing towards 2-hour running times as opposed to a more suited 80 minutes, they hit their briefs and were huge successes. Cliff in Color is a fascinating chronicle of the British musical's last gasp before the hurricane arrival of the Beatles in A Hard Day's Night. While the Studio Canal restorations vary from filmic to overly digitally processed, the Indicator set is a beautifully looking and fun collection for those tracking the history of 60s pop cinema. It captures a performer doing his best to fill a larger-than-life template, a series of films that are as bright and occasionally synthetic as the era that birthed them. That's all from us at The Last Disc on Earth, and remember, come the apocalypse, physical media will prevail.